Hello, and welcome to the Comic Book Communicast, the official podcast of the Google Plus comic book community. This is issue number 55 for the week of January 25th, 2015. I'm Justin Beeson, and I'm joined by co-host Paul Christopher.
Good evening, everybody.
And Sarah Evans.
Hi.
Every episode, each of us chooses our favorite comic of the week to talk about, and later we'll discuss any significant comic-related news and also TV for the week. So let's get right to it. Our first section is the Pick of the Week section, where each of us chooses our favorite comic of the week. And Paul, why don't you go first? What was yours?
All right, so mine was Batman Superman number 18. I'm really enjoying this comic. As I've said before, like there was a rough patch. There was a storyline that I didn't like, but now we're back to being good. This one, the current storyline is basically it's a mystery, and there's this mysterious out-of-body voice that's been taunting Superman and killing people close to him with these bullets that Superman can't see, can't catch, can't avoid. Started out shooting everybody with an S, which sadly also included this guy who was dressing up as Superman to entertain children at a children's hospital. So that was really rough. And so the whole mystery is trying to find out who this is, and Batman basically boils it down to, like, this is your Joker. We still don't know who the culprit is, but at the end of this issue, we find out what the bullets are, which was really interesting. They turn out to be tiny Kryptonians from the city of Kandor. Yeah. So
crazy.
They're basically using them as weapons, or like they're just flying at like supersonic speed and hitting these people. And so Batman, of course.
So he's killing twice as many people.
So what?
He's killing twice as many people then if he's using one of the Kryptonians every time he murders someone.
No, because like they're on Earth, so they're basically tiny Superman and Supergirls. So they just fly right through you.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
Yeah. So now the question is like, who's using these Kandorians as a weapon, and why are the otherwise peaceful Kandorians suddenly angry enough, or to be used as a weapon? The storylines are really good, and the Batman uses Lois Lane as bait and Lois Lane willingly does this because, like, this is the new 52 Lois Lane. She is not the damsel in distress Lois Lane. So basically, they set her up to get shot so that Batman can use these sensors to trace back the path of the bullet. It was a really good issue. I've really been enjoying the storyline, and I'm enjoying. Is it Greg Pak doing the art or the story?
No, Greg Pak is the writer.
Yeah, so storyline is good. The art is they have it on the front, but they don't have like the splash screen. So
I have it up right here. It's Ardian Syaf.
Yeah. So his art is actually pretty good.
What issue does this start? Because this sounds interesting. I want to.
Yeah, I think this is like the second or third part. So it's probably like it's either 16 or 17.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's 17. I think this is only the second part. So that's it. Good artwork by Syaf. Great writing by Pak. I'm really, really enjoying the book again. So.
And what is
just for the record, I don't believe that pre-reboot Lois Lane would ever have just been a damsel in distress either. I mean, even in the Golden Age, she had something that a lot of romantic interests, or token romantic interests, did not have, and she's one of the most certifiable badasses in the DC universe. I think DC Women Kicking Ass had her place the #1 badass woman in the DC universe for several years running.
Yep.
All right, so is Jay Lee still on this book at all, or is he just not? Because I know like they've had to get a ton of fill-in artists and everything, but is he drawing it at all anymore?
I honestly don't know. I didn't know if he was like just doing certain storylines or what. I really love his art though, so I hope he comes back quickly. Is especially good when they were dealing with the storylines with the different universes and whatnot. I really like his art.
Cool. All right, so that was Batman Superman number 18. Sarah, what was your pick for this week?
My pick this week was Lumberjanes number 10, with story by Noelle Stevenson and Shannon Waters, and new artist who's also doing the main cover, Carolyn Nowak. Definitely have a few things to say about that art, but I thought it was very interesting, and I got really excited at first before I started reading the comic. It's probably been going on for a long time, but this book it was getting a lot of word of mouth for when it first started coming out. So just to reiterate, it's pretty cool because you've got it co-written by two women, art and the main cover by a female artist, colors by a female artist, letters, and the variant cover by female creators as well. So I just thought that was really cool. So this issue was kind of, I thought it was going to be a filler issue, but it looks like it's bleeding over into at least one more. I'm not quite sure how they're going to go with this, if it's going to be the start of a new story arc now that they've finished defeating various warring gods and solved the mystery of the Holy Kitten, as it were. I was really excited to hear about the premise because you've had two characters in Lumberjanes so far, Mal and Molly, who have been making eyes at each other in a cutesy summer camp sort of way for a while, and they are going on their first date in this issue on a picnic, and it was really cute. But it got a little contrived, and after a while it was really hard to focus away from the art and keep track of anything happening in the story, which was more of a boring issue this time around anyway. Like I said, I thought it was going to be filler, honestly. I didn't expect them to go over. The art was not good, like, in my opinion. I mean, I know there's certain charms to having a more kind of slapdash, lots of big obvious lines kind of thrown together, sort of cartoonish art style, but this one was really, I mean, compared to the really, I mean, it was really cute and really unique style that we've been having on this book, like, consistently. This was really not good. Everything was just so sketchy. The proportions were weird. It was, like, cartoonish, but it was like the storyboards for a cartoon before the artists actually sit down and get to work on it. So that was really distracting, and I really hope that this isn't going to be a major ongoing thing. They had a monster of the week show up in the form of the Bear Woman, which was also a little confusing because Mal and Molly referred to her as like, hey, there's the Bear Woman, as she's walking through the forest, and we, the readers, have never been introduced to this character before. I mean, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief that goes with the Lumberjanes universe with all the occult, cryptic, magical, etc. Things they encounter, but, I mean, from a storytelling point of view, it was just really random to have your character suddenly say, hey, look, there's something we recognize, when we don't. And also they used one of the oldest romantic cliches in the book, which is, I mean, even Guardians of the Galaxy hit it. I mean, I think you get an extra point for that, where two characters, like, fall out of something and, like, onto one another. So, okay. All right, if that's the best you guys can do. So it was not as good of an issue, and I really hope they step it back up with the art and with the more interesting and entertaining writing style that they've been going for. So, yeah, that's Lumberjanes.
All right. So, are you still liking the series, or this was just one down issue?
The series has been great. Like I said, I'm just concerned because I haven't been able to find anything about whether this artist, Carolyn Nowak, is going to continue on as a main artist on the series, or whether we're getting back the really, really good artist, whose name I don't have in front of me right now, but she's been kind of internet famous for a while. Michelle's a huge fan. She's pretty Tumblr popular as well for some Lord of the Rings fan art and other things. She's great, and I mean anyone who's picked up the series before now has seen her stuff, and it's been really, it fits really well for the series with the kind of quirky adorability aspect. It's just charming, and this art was not really getting it. So like I said, hope it's a one-shot. Yeah.
All right, so that was Lumberjanes number 10, right? So my pick of the week, I didn't get a chance to read all my comics this week, but of the ones I read, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 42. I've mentioned this series a couple times. It's one of those ones that's really good, but just continuously flies under the radar. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it is consistently awesome. They take elements from every incarnation of Turtles. You know, the original series, the movies, the old cartoons, the slightly newer cartoons that happen, you know, in the 2000s, and they're, you know, kind of retelling everything, and it's just awesome. So the creators in this one's it's a lot. So there's 3 guys that do the story: Kevin Eastman, which is one of the original creators, Bobby Curnow, and Tom Waltz. And then Tom Waltz writes the script, and then art is by Corey Smith. So it's getting kind of crazy right now. Basically, they're about to confront both Krang and... So in this series, Krang and Shredder are separate. They're enemies as well. So the Splinter and the Turtles have been kind of focusing on Shredder and teaming up with a bunch of other mutants to try and go and attack him. Meanwhile, Donatello is like, no, we got to take out Krang and the Technodrome, because in this one, the Technodrome is going to terraform Earth into a new Krang planet so that they can all live, but it's going to wipe out humans and everything. So Donatello's like, no, we got to take this out. And last issue, it looked like he was going behind everybody's back because he contacted Shredder and said, hey, here's what's going on with Krang. You should attack him because they're enemies, and he agrees to it. This issue, we find out that Leonardo has planned this whole thing all along and planned Donatello going in and, you know, allegedly betraying them to get them to get Shredder to go attack Krang, and then they're gonna take them all out. But then, of course, somebody reveals this to Krang, and then the end of this issue is just all of them going in for the attack and the start of this huge battle, and then, of course, they leave it on a cliffhanger as Krang goes to take out the Turtles. It's craziness. I definitely recommend anybody to pick up the series, but you probably want to start at least a few story arcs back, because there's, as if it's not obvious, there's quite a bit going on. But yeah, so that was Ninja Turtles number 42. Great series. And I just mentioned the art. It's nothing, you know, crazy, but it's really good. It's just solid art that it's, I mean, easy to follow the story. It looks good. All the turtles look distinctive. All the combat is very fluid. It's a great comic all around, and it has been consistently for a few years now. So definitely check it out. So, Paul, what other books did you pick up this week?
Okay, I picked up Batman and Robin, number 38. That was thumbs up, thumbs down. It's more like a thumbs in the middle. I picked up Batman Eternal, number 42. It was okay. And Hood and the Outlaws, number 38. It was actually a thumbs up. I was supposedly canceled my subscription to this, and yet it came anyway. And I'm kind of digging where we're going with it now, so I'll go ahead and leave it alone. So that was it. It was all Bat Family comics this week.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what else did you pick up this week?
Well, I picked up, okay, so you're going to think I'm weak, but I've started utilizing Comixology a little more, so I there's a few things waiting for me in my pull box at my comic store, but I've read Lumberjanes, and I should have Red Sonja 14 waiting, and honestly, I think that might be it this week. So.
All right. So I had quite a few. All New X-Men number 35, haven't gotten to it yet. Autumn Lands Tooth and Claw number 3, haven't read it yet. Batman 38, I actually really liked it. I hopped back on for this one to see Damian back. And the humor's back, and that's kind of nice. I'm definitely going to keep following it. Batman Eternal number 42, haven't gotten to it yet. Fantastic Four 642. This apparently is a Secret Wars tie-in, and they didn't say anything, but luckily my shop had one left, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Green Lantern New Guardians 38. It was a thumbs up because they brought back an old school Green Lantern villain from when Brian K. Vaughan wrote Green Lantern, but then I found out that it's a New 52 version of it, even though Green Lantern's supposed to have its continuity, but I guess not. So, thumbs down. Ivar Time Walker, it was okay. That was a new number one from Valiant. Powers number 1. This is the relaunch to go along with the new TV series, kind of a back to basics. Really good, thumbs up. Ninja Turtles 42, obviously thumbs up, and then The Wicked and the Divine number 7, which I haven't gotten to yet. So those were this week's comics. And so next we have this week's issues, where each of us picks a news story. Oh, go ahead. Sarah, did you have something to say?
Sorry, real quick, Justin. Yeah, I was just wondering, was it you who was pulling the Samurai Jack comic when it came out, or was it someone else?
I was, but I dropped off of it. It was good, but just not great, and so I kind of, in one of my monthly purges, I got rid of it.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Okay. So yeah, this week's issues. Each of us chooses a news story, TV episode, comic issue, or anything else that stood out to this week to talk about. So yeah, let's get into that. Paul, what was your issue this week?
All right, so my issue this week is pretty small. It's the casting of the Supergirl for the TV show, and I've already forgotten that poor woman's name. But she was in Glee apparently. But it wasn't so much. It wasn't so much the casting of her, because I think she looks fine. I think she'll be great as long as they dye her hair. But it was io9.com got a hold of like the script that they were using for the screen tests, and some of that so some of it came off kind of, I don't know, flighty, no pun intended. Like there's stuff like where, so I don't know what it was, but basically she accidentally used her X-ray vision, like, oh, I see you've got such and such pictures there. Oh, I mean, I'm assuming, not that I would be able to see through the envelope, because I mean that's just crazy. It's like no.
Oh my God.
Do not do that to Supergirl. Do not do that to Supergirl. But then there's other parts where I guess they're watching footage of her saving people on TV, and some of the people around her are commenting on, wow, she's almost as strong as Superman or something like that, or she's almost like Superman, and she's sitting there, she's exactly like Superman. They're equals. She has the exact same powers, and then they're discussing what clothes she chose to wear and all this stuff, and she's like, she's a hero. She saved people. Why are you worried about her clothes? So that kind of stuff, that I'm all about. Using it as an opportunity to, to really point out the double standard and whatnot, and just, not only just in comic books, but in society in general, how women are basically only valued by their looks, and women are torn apart by by the certain parts of the press just on their looks. On the red carpet, nobody's worried about what the guy's wearing. Nobody's stopping and asking them who they're wearing and all this stuff. Where then women get savaged in the pages of People magazine and stuff like that. So that part I like. But the whole kind of ditzy, flighty thing, I really hope that doesn't make it into the actual show. And I hope that she has her
Yeah,
New
it'll be
52 costume. I want that one. No skirts. That's stupid. New 52 costume.
It wouldn't
that'll
film
be,
well.
I'll be interested to see the costume. Did you see that other article where I forget the executive producer, and they were basically like, it sounded like they didn't know what kind of show it was. Like, oh, it's going to be an adventure show. There's going to be procedural elements. It's kind of like The Good Wife. So of course they name dropped that show because it's their only good show right now.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, where they're talking about like it's going to be a procedural and like a crime thing. And it's like, it's a superhero.
Please, for the love of God, we need female viewers.
But it's like if they're going to do something like that with it, then they should have just let CW have it. Because CW is like CBS is like the parent company of CW, so they should have just left. Yeah, don't go Good Wife on it. It's like it's a superhero show. I mean, take it seriously by all means, but like if the Good Wife is the show that they're throwing out, like that they're going for, then I'm very, very worried about this. It'll turn into like the same thing that they tried to do with Wonder Woman, where she had like 15 different alter egos because she's a reporter, but then she's also a blogger.
And she was sitting on her couch eating ice cream and crying about a guy.
Yeah, exactly. So don't do that. Don't do that to us. Like CW has proven that they know what to do with comic books, and they've proven that they can do like good shows about fantastic stuff. Like The Originals is a fantastic show. It's a really, really good show, really well written, and it's about vampires and werewolves. So, I don't watch The Flash, I don't watch Arrow, but CW has definitely shown that they can do it right. And so if CBS screws up Supergirl, I'm gonna be so angry. Should just given it to. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna wait and see. Also, I think that people have asked. I think that they've confirmed that it's going to take place in the same universe as the CW shows. So
CBS owns the CW, so it makes sense that it's a shared universe.
Yeah,
that would be cool if they cross over eventually.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was curious, Paul. When I think I heard it from you, I'm sure I heard it from you because that's been the majority of my information. But she's going to be 25 in this series.
I think so, yeah. Like
I'm pretty sure I remember talking about that.
Like one of the things is something about her being like in her like mid-20s, but I mean that sounds right for this kind of show too. So at least she's not a teenager.
Well, I thought it was really peculiar because, I mean, if you've already got a script where she's referring to herself even jokingly as, oh, haha, crazy, whatever. I mean, that's a thing that a lot of women have issues with. I mean, being referred to really flippantly as crazy, like offhand when it doesn't happen with guys. And now they've cast her as a 25-year-old, presumably, so they can, have an excuse to give her more agency and more, make it less of a teen show or something. But maybe the tie-ins with the procedural drama crime stuff is why they aged her, because I just thought it was really peculiar if she was going to be 25 and it's a Supergirl thing. Like, she's a woman at that point,
Well,
like I'm 25.
Supergirl has always been Supergirl. I mean, like, Batgirl is a woman.
Well, kind of, because they keep passing Batgirl down to the new generation of young girls.
Right, but she's still always been an adult.
No, not really. I mean, not with Cassandra Cain or Stephanie Brown. It was pretty much only Barbara Gordon.
Sorry, Barbara Gordon.
I mean, Stephanie Brown's... Okay, so I'm wrong. Stephanie Brown's Batgirl run, she was starting college, so she would have been barely 18. But I think at that point you can still refer to someone, a teenager, as a girl. But it just seemed a little, I don't know, depowering socially, not necessarily, I don't know, power set-wise.
Right. So, yeah. We'll see. And Power Girl has always been an adult, except the new one.
Right.
So the girl thing doesn't
true.
change with age. But that's a whole...
I'm sure. I think at some point I just kind of assumed that she would become Superwoman. But whatever, that's just me.
Yep.
All right. So for our next issue, Sarah and I picked the same thing because it's such a huge story. Oh, and then I'll let Sarah share her thoughts. So Marvel announced that the Secret Wars event that's coming up is going to do something crazy. I mean, they've teased reboots and resets a lot, but it really seems like it's going to happen this time. Basically, Secret Wars, you have this thing called Battle World, and all the universes no longer exist. So no Ultimate Universe, no regular universe, no nothing. They all get smashed together, and then you have Secret Wars and Battle World, and then apparently within Battle World you have like different sections, and that's where these stories are going to take place. But at the end of all this, they're really teasing it like this is going to be a reboot. They're going to redo continuity, everything. And this is, pretty huge because DC got so much crap for doing it to their universe. And, Marvel has a lot of continuity, too, and they've done the same things where they play with continuity. They notoriously have the rolling timeline. Yeah. Sarah, what are your thoughts on the Secret Wars event?
How much time do we have in the show? Well, it's been my opinion for years, ever since the hellish summer that they announced the DC reboot, and every week there is new and terrible information about what they were going to do to our favorite characters. Well, I say our, I mean my and the bloggers I follow. I'm sure some people were very happy about it, just like I'm sure there's a lot of people, like the Marvel editors, who think this is going to be a great thing. But in my opinion, massive reboots like this that completely erase decades of good stories by good writers that have helped to shape characters and the universe in which they exist is really, really lazy. And if they were to spend the time and energy working with competent writers and artists to tell better stories instead of trying to market to various seed demographics and to try to wow people with events and character deaths and new costumes and Battle World and other flashy things like that, then they would be making better sales and their product would be better in the long run. Additionally, does Battle World sound like it would be produced by Mojo to anyone else? Because that's what I got. I mean, dear God.
That would be pretty funny if you
have you seen the? Yeah, seriously, that would explain, the reboot, because obviously Mojo is evil and he must be behind this. On a side note, when we last left Richter and Shatterstar, when X Factor ended, or X Factor Investigations ended, they were stuck in Mojo World trying to restore the timeline there with Shatterstar's backstory. So it's going to be really awkward when they get back to Earth and it's destroyed. Just saying, that's going to be a bad day.
If Mojo turns out to be behind this, and if the end result is that the primary X team is the X babies, it will all have been worth it.
It will have been amazing. Is the first issue gonna come out on April 1 or something? I know it's not. That's just a joke. But oh my God, has anyone else seen the cover art with the major players that are going to be involved in this from various worlds?
No, I haven't. Well, I looked at the picture, but I didn't actually look at the different characters to try and pick them out.
Yeah, there's been some people and a couple articles that have broken it down by various characters from various universes, and I also just find it really interesting. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I don't want this to be my thing on the show because I've got other things to say about this, obviously, as I'm sure you guys do. But it just was I was really aware of how much of a sausage fest it was, no offense, because you have Valkyrie, and of course you get a nice shot of her from her feet up where you don't even see her face, but you get a great shot of her breasts kind of just laid out in front of you, really big, right at the front. And she was the only woman whose form I could discern. Everything else, it's oh, you've got two Captain Americas from two different universes, and you've got Miles Morales really big, which is great. And it's well, obviously they're putting their most popular and their most marketable characters on this because those are the characters they want to carry over into the new thing they're doing, because those are the characters on which they're going to try to build their new empire. And I mean, sure, that makes sense from a marketing point of view and an advertising, but damn, there were no superheroines. I mean, like I said, there might have been one or two, but you've got multiple Captain Americas, and you can't get Black Widow on there visibly, or She-Hulk. I mean, there's people who would be recognizable.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I think that's actually Lady Thor, not Valkyrie.
Oh, really? Because, okay, all right, well, that's that then. And I know, that makes two Thors, too, because I saw the other Thor in the background. Okay, so Wasp.
Wasp is there, nice and tiny.
Yeah, pretty usual for her. Yeah, so I just found that really interesting.
So what I heard was that...
Anybody else got beef?
They're not really going to... it's not like necessarily a reboot so much as just a smashing together. So then you're going to have some of the Ultimates in the main universe, and some of the main universe people are going to go away. I guess they'll die or whatever. But then there's that picture of Spider-Man back, Mary Jane and Peter Parker with a kid on his shoulders. So I don't know if that's fan art or if that's a tease, that's what's gonna happen this or what. But that would be cool. But,
there's a whole bunch of that stuff. I think what they're doing is they're going to, during the event, they're going to explore kind of their tentpole events throughout their history. So you might see a revisiting or a new retelling of it with slightly modified events. But yeah, there's a lot of that, and I really don't know what they're gonna do. I don't see them completely rebooting, and at the very least, whereas DC just the old stuff never happened. I can totally see Marvel having it's a new universe and there might be new continuity, but everything else is still there, and they're definitely gonna have characters go back and explore that or bring stuff forward. Marvel has never cut off anything. Somebody will play with it. And I also have a lot more faith in Marvel handling this better than DC, because they've shown that line-wide I think overall have better quality books right now. And they have, and the other thing is a lot of their ideas and stuff seem a lot more creator-driven than editorial. To whereas DC, you have Dan DiDio and Jeff Johns, besides the Bat Universe, kind of dictating everything. Whereas Marvel, you have, that they have their creator summits, wherever, once or twice a year, and this is all from Hickman and Bendis and whoever else, has their hands in there. And that, to me, that's the prime indicator. I'm sure editorial obviously has a lot to do with this, but the creators are involved in a much bigger way than at DC, it seems like.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was highly disappointed.
Right, but what makes me nervous about that is that... Oh, sorry, Paul.
I was just going to say, it's I thought that when I heard all this talk about, the old universe is going to go away, we're going to have a new universe, I was expecting that, I was going to be able to start collecting Kickers Incorporated again. But, no. Not that new universe.
So what were you going to say,
you
Sarah?
Have to have any idea what I'm talking about.
Sorry. I think there's a bit of a lag.
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. So,
not at all.
Once upon a time, before you guys were born, Marvel actually came up with the new universe. And it was there's 8 titles or something like that, and one of them was called Kickers Incorporated, and it was about a football team with superpowers. I kid you not. So. Okay.
Sounds interesting.
All right. Sarah, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, sorry. Okay, so that kind of feeds into what I was going to say. This really, like the DC reboot, makes me nervous regardless of how they're going to handle it, for or how involved various creators are with their favorite characters and their pet projects and stuff they've wanted to have been doing for years, and this is their big chance to, like they said in the interview, bring back Gwen Stacy, or in whatever capacity, or mesh a couple of universes together, like they were hinting at doing towards the Galactus Eats Everything, etc. event in the Ultimates universe, where Miles Morales was going to be the only survivor from that universe and come over to the main one, and that never happened. And I wish they'd done that instead of this, because what this does for fans like me who are really, really, really attached, like our favorite characters are all B and C listers. They're the ones right at the front of the firing squad. They're the cannon fodder. They're on the chopping block, because they can do random stuff to the timeline and various people's backstories, or they can kill off a bunch of people in one universe to make room for new characters to fill those niches in this new universe, and it can all be my favorite characters, and they will not care. That's very nice, Paul.
There it is. Keep talking. I'm just showing that.
Wow. So, if they kick a football with super strength, will that take some of the air out of it? Because I feel like that could be a problem for them. Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen to all my favorite characters, but I know that people like Miles Morales and like Captain Marvel and series that they've really been backing will be safe. But, screw me, because when the DC reboot happened, Savant from Birds of Prey, who I love and was my precious baby favorite character, was immediately shuffled into Suicide Squad and killed off brutally and out of characterly in issue 1, and I wrote a 10-page massive essay letter to DC and signed it with red sealing wax and a red lantern ring. And I can anticipate Marvel getting some more of those letters, depending on how softly they tread.
So as a counterpoint to like people leave, Marvel are getting real pissed off at this. Paul, as a non-Marvel reader, if they pull a DC and do a New 52, would you give some of the new series a try?
Here's the thing, though, is everybody's forgetting they've already done a New 52. The whole Marvel Now thing was their
but it wasn't a real reboot.
I don't know. So like, I don't know. I'm getting so far away from superheroes. What I think that they should do, and what DC should do, but especially Marvel, just because they have just so many characters, is they need to, instead of doing reboots and whatnot, they need to do generations. They just need to kill people off or retire people and let new people come along, so you get new stories from these new characters, these people who are taking the mantle or at least taking over the struggle. Like, let's get a new generation of X-Men. Like, marry off, kill off, retire off the old one. Retire Captain America and let somebody else be Captain America, and not just for like a year or whatever, but just that's it. Like Steve Rogers.
Yeah, you thought you were getting that, didn't you?
And we've got this new one. Same thing. Like, instead of like Miles Morales and Peter Parker being in the same universe, kill Peter Parker off, or don't even kill him off. You know what? Have him settle down with Mary Jane and their kid and live happily ever after, and let Miles take over. Things like that, and then you have your reboot. There you have your fresh fodder for new stories. Without just retreading the same territory.
Yeah,
especially in the Spider universe. Sorry, lag.
Yay.
But yeah.
Okay, so to kind of wrap this subject up, what do you think? Like, what's a prediction you have for the new Marvel universe, Sarah?
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of awesome old stories that people really like now, kind of for the nostalgia value, or however you have it, and a lot of things that have made up little details in characters' backstories that help make them more of a well-rounded character, they're going to be pretty decimated. And I mean, I'm anticipating a lot of shock value, and especially since they're calling the new, at least temporary new for this event, shared universe Battle World, I'm anticipating a lot of fan wank where we get issues entirely based on what would happen if this hero fought this hero, who would win? And it's going to be really painful.
Yeah, I agree. If they do that. Paul, do you have any predictions for the new Marvel Universe?
Only that it won't last but maybe 2 years.
That's what they said about the reboot, and look where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, DC
So,
reboot. I guess we've got to be specific now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's multiple now.
Ugh.
So I have one, I think this is the end of Marvel $3 comics. They're already very rare, but there's still a few titles that keep that price point. But I mean, that's gone. I think with the new universe, everything is at least $4. They're getting real greedy lately too, with a lot of their debuts coming in at $5. Like I think the last Avengers issue was $5. Access was $5. The new Star Wars was $5. So I don't think there'll be any more $3 comics from Marvel.
It's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
dating myself again, but I remember when I could buy comic books from the money that I made from collecting soda cans. How are kids these days buying comic books? I don't understand. They must
Yeah, I
have
have no
like,
idea.
seriously understanding or rich parents, because $5 a piece. That's wow.
And I think there's an opportunity for DC here to, after, because obviously they're going through their own reboot, apparently, after Convergence. So I think if they launch a few $3 books besides their weeklies, they could, get a couple extra customers there maybe.
Hold the line at $2.99.
Yeah. My other prediction is that, some of these rumors
So
that
much
we've
for
been
that.
hearing from Bleeding Cool might actually come through, and that we're going to see very diminished roles for the X-Men and Fantastic Four. And I could totally see some of the pre-existing mutants getting switched over to being Inhuman, just because Marvel's crazy like that right now.
God.
I hope that's not the case, but I could see it happening.
This is like physically painful for me to contemplate. This is really, really bad. It's amazing what people will do to build themselves an empire.
All right, so moving on from that, we'll be curious to see how that ends up.
Please.
A couple minor other news items this week. Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Storm have been cast in the new X-Men Apocalypse, and these actors, two I have no clue. One is in Game of Thrones. So you have Cyclops who's going to be played by Ty Sheridan, who apparently was in Mud. Alexandra Shipp as Storm. She was
Spoiler
Alina
alert,
in,
it's
like,
not the one in Game
Weapon.
of Thrones.
Yeah. And then Sophie Turner, who is in Game of Thrones, will be Jean Grey. And as far as those go, the only one that I can comment on is Sophie Turner, and I think she'd be an awesome Jean Grey because she's a great actress on Game of Thrones. Do either of you know who these actors are, or have any idea what they'll be like?
Nope, never heard of them, except for, like you said, Sophie Turner. But I'm actually glad that they're not going for big-name stars. Because one, that adds to the budget, so they can put more money, like hopefully in the writing. Also, it's good because then it's the character rather than the actor that you're looking at. So a lot of times with stuff like that, I prefer when they do no name or like low level actors rather than like really big like well known actors, like tentpole actors. because like even with Holly Berry as Storm, I just kept looking at like Holly Berry, Holly Berry, Holly Berry, Holly Berry. And then
yeah, she doesn't look African, really, does she?
I'm not going to go there. But but then like with Patrick Stewart as Professor X, that one worked out really well.
Oh yeah, he and Ian McKellen are delightful.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. obviously as Iron Man, but although he wasn't really, his career was at a lower point at that point. He wasn't he was well known, but more like infamous. So that kind of shined his star there. But yeah, so I don't know about these people, but I'm kind of glad they chose like lower level actors.
Cool.
I swear to God,
Sarah, what about
had.
you? Any,
Sorry. Should I go?
So, yeah, go.
Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be really pointless. I had a comment, and it was a really good comment, too, as you were asking us this question. And then as Paul was talking, I started to think about big-name actors and Jennifer Lawrence and how she wasn't necessarily a big-name actor when the series started, but then as a result of the X-Men movies she was in and Hunger Games doing really well, now she's everywhere, and she's all they can talk about when they talk about the movies, and I lost my original thought. So, yeah, sorry about that.
All right. Well, the last bit of news for the week is that Atomic Robo, which is a kind of pretty long-running all-ages comic, is switching to being a webcomic first. So what they're going to do is publish pages on the web, or they're going to start publishing their whole back catalog on an ad-supported website. Now, like the details of how the ads are going to work are not apparent yet. And after they're done re-releasing all their back catalog, all new issues are going to be released on the website first, and then after they get a collection, they'll release a trade, and then on Comixology. What do you guys think about that business model? If you had a comic series that you followed or were thinking about following, would you be more likely to check it out if it was an ad-supported webcomic, or would you wait and buy it on Comixology or a trade after it was done?
Comixology. If given the choice, I'm always going to go with Comixology. There's that Spindrift comic that's only web, so I read it on there. But given my druthers, if I had the choice, I would just read it on Comixology instead. I just like the format much better than doing it on my computer.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
I guess I don't have much of an opinion on that one. Like I said, I've just started to pull more, or to buy more on Comixology as opposed to general pull box format, but not enough to really have big opinions on Comixology's business practices.
Yeah, I'd probably, I don't like reading on my computer. I'm with Paul on this one. I would wait and then buy it, a lot of I buy some of the throwback comics on Comixology because they don't have an app for Android for some stupid reason. So, and I don't like going on their website, so I'll wait till it hits Comixology and I'll buy them there instead of paying the small subscription fee for their site. So I'll be curious to see how it does first of all, and then if other creators follow that model. That does it for this week's news.
If you guys have a second, I remembered what my really good comment was on the X-Men casting and actors. It's probably not going to be that good now that it's had a lot of hype. But as you were asking us about the hiring of new unknowns as the younger versions of these characters as opposed to big-name actors, I agree with Paul because there's a really limited pool of big-name actors that are going to be easily castable for these characters in particular. I mean, not these characters, but really any characters in a movie where you try to hire big names. Eventually, it's just the same 10 people or so, and you have fan casts online of who they'd like to see, who people would like to see playing a certain character, and it's like how every single one of them has Karen Gillan as the redhead. It just gets really old after a while, so it's good to see new names come to light. And that was it. Sorry.
And the other side of that too, last thing, is that when you have like C-list actors or whatever, like like new and up and comers, they're more willing to do things like keep their freaking mask on. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. Every other scene, mask is off, because we have to know that it's Andrew Garfield. So these other actors, it's easier for them to stay with like their in costume with the mask on or whatever. Not that any of these ones have to worry about a mask, but you know what I'm saying.
Hey, you don't know. Maybe he had Italian food for lunch, like a lot. Maybe he had really bad garlic breath. Can you imagine hours of that just like circulating inside the full head spider mask? The boy would be dying. We don't know his life. We don't know his Italian food.
All right. So for this week's comic book TV, the shows are starting to come back. They're not all back yet. Sarah, are you watching any comic book shows right now?
I am watching The Flash. Michelle and I are watching it together. It's been really good for us so far, but that's pretty much it.
Cool. So this week's Gotham, Paul, what'd you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh, which one was it? I may not have seen it. Oh yeah, it's yes, with the electrocutioner.
Yeah, the conclusion of the electrocutioner.
Yeah, that thumbs up.
Yeah, mine's like a middling. Besides Commissioner Gordon and Bullock, there's not really much to that show that I like, but I love those two together, and I'm glad that they resolved that separation pretty quickly.
I like what's going on with the whole Fish Mooney and Penguin thing. I like where that's going now. I'm all about revenge and double crossings and stuff.
So, and then we had Flash this week. Sarah, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I should have definitely prefaced my previous statements with I've been watching The Flash we have not watched The Flash this week because Dragon Age 2 has completely consumed my entire life, and I've been too busy dating a gay elf.
All right, well, I thought it was good. Both that and Arrow Return this week. Flash is quickly becoming my favorite of the comic shows. It's fun, which is a good counterpoint to Arrow, and all the characters are great. I'm loving it. Arrow this week was good too. Oliver is dead right now because on the mid-season finale he fought Ra's al Ghul and lost. So it's going to be fun to see how they adapt without them because they all think he's dead. This week's Constantine, I didn't get a chance to watch this one. Paul, how was it?
Was that a new one too? Because I don't know. I thought yeah, I don't think that's part of my I don't watch any TV on time, so I have to look at my Hulu and see. Like, I don't think it was a new one though. I think it was that the return from. Let me see. Oh no, it was the whole Chad thing. Yeah, haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's awesome.
All right,
with the trajectory.
We'll get back to you guys on that. Yeah. All right, so that does it for TV and news. So starting with the relaunch of our podcast, we wanted to integrate some of the discussion posts from comic book community, the CBC Just for Fun. So this week I pulled one of the questions, and this one's kind of an interesting one. We were talking about what you're dropping, how you develop your pull list, and he asked, and this is by Joseph Sokolowski, and what 3 titles are on the verge of being dropped from your monthly pull list? Do you guys have any books that you're kind of thinking about not continuing at all?
Yes. So, like I said, Red Hood was supposed to have been gone, but now that it's redeemed itself. It's given itself a reprieve. We'll see. Because I just didn't like the way that was going. I didn't like the art, but now Lobdell is back, and I know you don't like him, but his art is good. And then Supergirl is going to go by the wayside because they are in fact going the same kind of like younger teenage route with her that they've done with Batgirl. Which again, like I understand why they're doing that, and I don't have an issue with them doing that. It's just not something I'm interested in reading. So now she's in this galactic high school thing, and great, wonderful, good for that the readers that they're going after, but that's just not me. And yeah, I dropped Batgirl as well. So lots of superheroes getting dropped. Yeah.
All right, Sarah, what about you?
High school stories aren't even interesting for high schoolers. Well, I mean, this is going to be kind of... Don't let this color what I've said about the impending Marvel pseudo potential double secret probation reboots so far on this episode. But I've been looking into unofficially dropping a few things, all coincidentally from the Marvel side for a while. Haven't talked about Loki, Agent of Asgard in a while. That was on Michelle's pull list, but I'm no longer interested in it at all, so I'm honorarily dropping it. Hawkeye, which started out as a really interesting project, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it was coming to a close at some point soon anyway. Isn't it? Hasn't it? I don't know, because I dropped it pretty recently. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many delays that it's kind of hard to tell, but I believe that it's finishing at like number 22. But yeah, it's getting finished soon, and after Secret Wars, it's relaunching with Jeff Lemire as the writer, which is kind of funny since he was writing Green Arrow over at DC. It's just jumping for another Archer, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so if it hasn't yet, it's going to.
Wasn't there like an Amalgam Comics character that was Hawkeye and Green Arrow? Because if there wasn't, there should have been.
I'm sure there was.
Oh my god. And the third one kind of breaks my heart because I thought it was going to be a really incredible thing that happened. And in a lot of ways it was, but in a more sociopolitical sort of way than in an interesting story sort of way. And that's Miss Marvel. And I mean, it has a lot of promise still. There's a lot that has joined my pull list recently, and a couple that are not from either of the big two, and Secret Six for another one, which I'm pulling 2 DC series. What the hell is happening in my life? But there's just not a lot of room on it for stuff that's like so-so for me anymore. So if Miss Marvel picks up and starts to make more of an impact on the Marvel Universe instead of doing little cameo character of the week things, then I'll probably jump back on.
Cool. So my 3, my 3, they're all Marvel actually, but I'm pulling a lot of Marvel books. Uncanny X-Men and Inhumans, they kind of fit in the same category. They're fine, they're good. They just don't feel necessary, and the stories aren't like super compelling must-read. They're enjoyable, they're good. But I pull so many books that I've got to find excuses to cut some off. And I was going to drop those, would have been dropped soon. But now I'm thinking I'll just wait until Secret Wars and drop them after that and see what happens with the new reboot. And the third one is one that just started. And I'm kind of it was good enough to keep pulling a couple issues, but not good enough to where I'm automatically going to pull it. And that's the new S.H.I.E.L.D. comic by Mark Waid. It kind of works out though because so far they've all been one and done stories. So it's been good, and I'll buy the next issue, which is number 3. But if it starts taking a downturn, I'll be dropping it. So yeah, that was one of this week's CBC Just for Fun topics by Joseph Sokolowski in the community. You can find those by searching for that hashtag, and then there's also a link to that specific question in the show notes. Usually at this time, last segment of the show, we go over other media, other stuff besides comics that we've been getting into, but we're running a little low on time. So why don't we just, if you're taking anything else, tell us what it is and whether you would recommend it. Paul, what's yours?
What you dropped out for a second there. What?
Basically what you've been doing besides comics over the last week, real briefly.
No, nothing. I'm bored. I'm waiting. So I'm not that boring. I'm waiting for the next novel from my favorite author right now, Max Gladstone. He's got this amazing fantasy world that he's writing novels for, and I'm waiting for that next novel to drop. So once that gets here, then I'll have a lot to talk about. So that's all I'm doing right now.
Cool. Sarah, how about you?
Dragon Age 2. And yeah, Michelle's about to start her second game. She just finished her first playthrough today. I'm still on my first playthrough, and every time we've resolved to date different characters other than Fenris, and every time we cannot resist his charms. So that's what's happening in this house right now.
All right. Well, for mine, I actually have two things. I'm also playing Dragon Age, but I'm playing the new one, Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm about 10 hours in, and it's got me hooked.
Are you out of the
So
villains
yeah,
yet?
definitely recommend playing it. I mean, it was on a bunch of. No. No, I'm not. I'm still in the starting area, which apparently is what happens to everybody. And I'm trying to get out, but I just can't. I keep getting distracted. And then the second thing is Star Wars: A New Dawn, the book, which is the first book in the new canon, and it's a prequel to the Star Wars Rebels series. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. It seems like it's going to be a quick read, and if you have any interest in any of the Star Wars books or the new expanded universe, I'd definitely recommend checking it out. So that does it for us. You can find links to all of our episodes on comicbookcommunicast.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/comicbookcommunicast. Our audio version is on iTunes and RSS, so you can subscribe and rate us there as live. We record every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, so hop on and join us next week. And thank you, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.